This week on Supercars Torque, there's more Bathurst co-drivers announced, another wildcard in the mix, James Courtney's pregnant, and Matt Stone disappoints all the Ford fans and announces he's going Chevy. The big news this week is that James Courtney's fiancée, Tegan Woodford, is pregnant with a baby boy. No, the actual big news this week, Matt Stone Racing, long been rumoured to be going back across to the blue oval side of things, has announced they're going to stay on the general side of the ledger and go with Camaros next year. Had this been 12 months ago, I think the announcement might have been very, very different. But as you know, things kind of panned out with Walkinshaw's going to Ford. Ford saying they didn't want any backmarker teams. What I found interesting about that little dig there was that now, you know, they're teetering on. They could be the second best GM team next year. They could also be the worst. But the way they've actually been progressing this year, I think they'll be kind of knocking on the door, them and Erebus kind of, you know, battling each other to be the best of the rest on the GM side of the ledger next year, because really you've got, obviously, Triple Eight are going to be leaps and bounds in front of everyone else still, no matter what Jamie comes out and says during the week, oh, you know, other teams are going to catch us and whatever. You know, there's a reason why they've been up the front for so long. And then you've got Premier, Team 18 and Brad Jones Racing, the other General Motors teams. So it could potentially put MSR in a really good position next year. You know, rather than being, you know, it's hard to go up against DJR, Tickford, Groves and Walkinshaw's on the Ford side of the ledger. You know, are they looking better on the General Motors side of the ledger there? There's also another little something that caught my eye with this announcement. The current paint job, like the Gen 3 cars, in my opinion, look a lot better than the current cars. But on those renderings, I don't think this year's paint jobs, there's going to be a little bit of work for the artists out there to make these cars look better, because they did not look as good. And I don't know if you saw, there were some renderings of the Walkinshaw paint jobs this year on Mustangs of next year, and my God, did they look terrible. My opinion only, obviously, but yeah, there's going to have to be a little bit of work done in the paint jobs department to make these Gen 3 cars look as good as the current cars with paint jobs on them. The other news this week, there's been a few Bathurst co-driver confirmations. These weren't big surprises because, you know, we kind of knew about them beforehand, but it has been confirmed that Matt Payne will be with David Reynolds. I was thinking that they were going to put them the other way around, and Matt Campbell with Lee Holdsworth there. I thought that they were going to be the other way around, but they've gone for that. Does this mean Matt Payne has got his dispensation? One would assume so. And Scott McLaughlin is not coming over to partner Anton De Pasquale. It will be, once again, Davison and Davison there, and then De Pasquale and D'Alberto in that car. You do have to wonder with that, DJR are the second best team. Are these drivers second best team drivers? They've done a very good job in the past, but is it good enough for the second best team to have these guys when you look at the lineup? You know, Triple Eight's third car could have a stronger lineup than what the DJR cars do. So I quite like D'Alberto. Alex Davison always does a good job at Bathurst and that, but is this a lineup that is really going to challenge all day in, day out when you've got, you know, Shane Van Gisbergen and Garth Tander in one car? yeah, I'm just a little bit surprised by that. It does mean that most of the Bathurst grid is confirmed. I think on one side, bit of a summary of every seat confirmed. The big ones, obviously, there's 2 Premier seats there up for grabs, which does kind of lead me into the next story. Jaden Ojeda will be doing 2 wildcards with Walkinshaw and Andretti United. Winton and Hidden Valley confirmed for him. Interesting, another driver who's decided that he's going to do a couple of wildcards during the year rather than doing a Super 2 season, much like what Jordan Boys has done. With budgets and things like that, a big talking point, and the fact that Super 2 is going to be running, the main game cars next year while the main game goes to Gen 3. But it will essentially be more expensive to run a Super 2 car than what it will be to run a main series car next year, which, will we actually see a few teams, or drivers kind of pushing their budgets towards, picking up teams are aiming to have spare cars and that with Gen 3 cars. So will they be, utilising some of those spares for wildcards during the year rather than some of the guys, doing a full season of Super 2, which, 6 rounds, isn't it? It's not a massive season. The big question that comes to my mind with this is, because we will be seeing, multiple wildcards at least at Winton, and I think the Bend has got 2 as well. I'd have to double check everything, but I should have done that beforehand. But will the wildcards be paired together in a garage, and will Blanchards still be running the pit boom by themselves? Because that has been a big sore point for them this year, that they have to have the extra people there for the pit crew, because they're the only one on that boom, and then the wildcards come in and usually they share with, but because there is the extra wildcards, will the wildcards go off into their own garage, and then the Blanchards still get their own garage and have to man their own boom themselves? And last thing for this week, it is Winton this weekend, 2-day event, 3 races, all the usual kind of stuff. My prediction for the weekend, Shane Van Gisbergen all the way. Triple Eight did get to test the car down in Winton last week with the other guys, with Brock Feeney taking advantage of one of his rookie test days. So I saw a lot of Facebook comments and things like that with people saying that, Triple Eight were cheating because they got to test at Winton. No, this is one of the bonuses of putting a rookie on. You get a few rookie test days. Whether that relates to any kind of, typically the home test track thing doesn't make much of a difference anyway. So the safe bet, Shane Van Gisbergen is the one who's going to be wiping the floor with everyone this weekend. Let's see. Let's just hope for Walkinshaw's sake that at least Chaz can kind of bounce back a bit this weekend and not have such a dismal weekend. Down in the comments, let me know who you think is going to take out this weekend. Don't forget, Backseat Drivers on Thursday night. Me and Matt just talking general motorsport. It is driven a lot by people in the comments section, what they want to see, but it's not so much Supercars Talk. It is Supercars Talk. It's a bit more focused on F1 and open wheelers and general kind of motorsport topics rather than just focusing on supercars. That's it for this week. Until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later. We talked about the race for about 35 seconds. So
I think we covered it. I think we've summed it up. There was a race. DJ Khaled was there. Brundle was awkwardly hilarious. Lewis Hamilton complained a little bit. The helmets looked good, and Seb wore some underpants. So I think that's me summing it up in about 10 seconds. I mean,
that's the Miami Grand Prix review. So
I mean, you don't need the KO Mini. You just need Matt talking for 10 seconds to explain the race.